theme for today's class is kind of a detox theme. So we'll be adding twists, kind of working our spine and actually this whole intestinal belly region. Yoga is very beneficial for not just bones and joints and muscle and stuff, but actually for the internal organs. And I just love twists for that reason. Good for digestion. So that's what we'll work on. We're going to start just warming up, any comfortable seated position, and just do a little bit of this kind of Sufi roll. You just let your body make a circle in that pelvic girdle. So you might find yourself synchronizing with your breath. You can breathe forward, inhale and exhale back. Not so important exactly how you do it, mostly important just to begin to feel the breath and the body trying to come together here. Opening the hips, sort of softening some of those key joints that we're going to use today. A few circles in one direction. And then take a moment and just switch directions. And you can do it slowly, or sometimes it actually feels good to move a little faster. Just find the rhythm that feels right for you. This is one of my favorite warm-ups, since I tend to have tight hips. And come and sit neutrally, both sit bones kind of nice and grounded into the ground. I'll mirror you, Cornelia. If I say the wrong thing, you'll know why. We're just going to let the right arm come out to the side. This is going to support us. We're going to let the left arm come up and over and just stretch out those side ribs a bit. Leaning over, making a C shape, feeling into where you're at. Some people can go very low. I'm staying up on my fingertips. And with this top arm, just stretch, kind of pull the little finger down towards the floor. It's going to begin to rotate, bring some energy into the shoulder. And then take that little finger and turn it all the way around that you can. Rotate the shoulder the other way. Just play with that. Get some activity in that shoulder. And come on up. Let that top arm, that left arm, find a little hold place on the knee or thigh. Someplace it's going to help us twist. We're going to let the right arm come behind and just begin to breathe into the twist. So we don't want to crank around. We want to just gradually let that spine spiral. The head is trying to look behind us, but nothing too strong. We're still just warming up. Let it be part of the spine to see how far you can look behind yourself. And then take that neck and look over the front shoulder, your left shoulder. And back and forth a couple times, just like that. Look behind, look in front, just letting that neck loosen up. We come out nice and easy. We just release the effort, bring us back around to neutral spine. We'll do that same thing on the other side. So the left arm comes down, finds a good support position. I like to stay on my fingers because there's actually good activation of energy by pressing into the fingers. Let the top arm come up and over. Find a good C shape. Stretch. Open those side ribs. See what feels good on the neck. The head can look towards the hand or stay more neutral. Little pinky side down towards the floor. Opening the back half of the shoulder and then switch the pinky side way up and long. And then we're going to rise, coming into that gentle twist. Find a way to anchor yourself with the left arm behind, the right arm on the knee, and just let the spine twist around nice and gently, looking behind, looking over that front shoulder, looking over the back shoulder, looking over the front shoulder, bringing some energy to that neck, and just release the effort. Good, and we'll do a little bit more spinal warming up in our all fours position. So you've got your blanket. What I do is just let my knees be a little cushioned on the blanket. Let the knees come down to the floor directly into the hips, and find pressing the palms in directly under the shoulders, a nice stable position. And let's do some cat-cows. So looking up, letting the chest open on the inhale, and then releasing the air and rounding the spine like an angry cat. And again, I'm just going to say, find your own rhythm. Sometimes one of these positions is more needed. Like I might stay an extra breath in this round spine. If my low back feels like it needs it, just back and forth. And then wherever you are, just come to a neutral spine again. We're going to stay in this kind of all four positions for a moment. We're going to let the right leg come behind and up. So right now, we don't care how high it is. We're just testing our balance here. Making sure we don't lean into one shoulder. And if we are stable, take that opposite arm, the left arm, and let it come forward. It's a 2-point balance, really activating the shoulders, the whole torso and hip. And let that arm come down, let the leg come down. You might press back into a little child just to release tension in your shoulders for a moment. Come on back up. We'll do that to the other leg. Left leg comes back. Lifting it up, forcing a 3-point balance here. And then as we can, lifting the opposite arm forward and feeling that activation along the spine. Come on back down. Little child pose. Back to all fours. Here's another twist that we can do from this position. Let the right arm come up. You can look at that arm if it's okay. And just let that spine spiral open to the degree it can. And then take that arm and thread it through to the other side. This is a shoulder opener. We try to come down onto that shoulder with a little bit of body weight to open that back calf of the shoulder, and just breathe there for a moment. Your head can look to the side, activating the neck a little bit here. And give yourself a breath to come back up to all fours. We'll do that on the other side. First, this little twist. Left arm comes up as high as we can. A little bit of spiral in the back. Thread that arm through. And come on down onto that shoulder. Whatever position works for you to just let it passively open that shoulder. Couple of breaths. And use an inhale, activate enough to come back to all fours. One last move here. Call this a tail wag. So instead of the spine moving vertically in our cat-cow, we're going to move it laterally. We're going to look towards our right as if we could look at our tail. The hips might kind of sway over to the right a little bit. Come back through center and try it on the left. So just back and forth like that, this lateral movement of the spine. Good. We're going to come to standing little by little. What I like to do is curl my toes under. I don't know if you can see me, but we're going to try to put a little bit of weight on those toes. You pick the degree. You might stay a little bit forward. You might be able to come up and put more body weight on those toes. We're trying to activate the feet before we come to standing. So this can be kind of an owie pose, but I think it's really, really good for the feet. Some people are so open they actually of an edge, just trying to breathe those that bottom of the foot ball, a lot of our energy centers in there. And we'll rise little by little. So we kind of come into this little round ball squat. Just letting the heels try to come down. It doesn't matter if they get there. This is really about the spine, letting it round. Maybe we can touch our chin or our forehead to the knees for a moment. And then place your hands in front. Press into them enough that we can begin to raise our hips. We're going to come into a forward bend, nice gentle one. So the toe heel yourself out so your stance is a little wide. The knees can stay soft. You're just going to let your body hang there, dangle there over those legs. Let the neck release. Maybe bring a little bit of movement into the hips by bending and straightening the knees. Then press the feet into the floor. We're going to ragdoll roll up. So the head comes up last. You just want to stack that spine, sending energy down the legs into the floor, letting that spine stack itself over the hips. We'll end up nice and tall in a mountain pose. Maybe our feet are a little wide, that's okay. Just want to feel the spine stack, feel the shoulders release, and just feel how good it feels to stand with this nice energy flow. And then we're going to do some flows. So come to your mountain pose on the front of the mat. And I know you're used to doing all this. We want to stand tall. We want the energy kind of grounding into the ground. But you know, it's not necessary to really pull completely up into the knees. I think sometimes it's safer to work with a little micro bend in the knee. So the knees are nice and straight, yeah? And we're actually grounding our weight into the hip rather than into the knees and ankles. I know that's subtle, but I think you'll get what I mean. Nice little vinyasa, but what I'd like us to do is let the right arm come back behind us. So you're going to be in this kind of like left arm forward, right arm back. See, we're adding a twist. We don't want to torque the knees, so soften the knees and just see if the spine can kind of move its way around, as if you could look behind yourself. Come on back up. Same thing the other side. See what kind of rotation you can get. Yeah, let that back arm come back behind you. You're going to kind of end up in a little T shape. So let the back arm be long. Okay. So come on back around. Arms are going to come up. We're just looking for opportunities to twist. We're going to come to a forward bend. So let the body come forward over those legs. You can keep soft knees. And then we're just going to walk our legs back, trying to come to the top of a push-up position. We're in a plank, but we're on our knees, so we're taking some of the weight off the torso. And just lower yourself down to the floor. The elbows stay kind of close to the body. Come on down. And now you know Cobra. We're going to press the hands into the floor and let our back come up. It doesn't have to be too high. Now look, do that little tail wag where you try to look at your tailbone to the right. Yeah. Look at your tailbone to the left so you get a little spinal movement, little spinal twist. Come all the way back down. So you're on your belly. We're going to curl our toes and we're going to come up to a down dog. And I'm going to suggest we come up onto our knees. So you sort of end up in this plank, knees down.
Oh, we're in a plank.
Okay, maybe you can come all the way up and then push the hips up and come to a down dog. There you go. So it looked like you can come straight up, but the knee does help take that. Now, we're going to come to the front of the mat. What I'd like us to do is just walk. You're welcome to look at me for a minute, but it's real simple. The right leg comes forward about a foot length, and then the left foot comes forward about a foot length, and you just keep walking. So you might have to bend your knees quite a bit. It's perfectly okay. Once your feet are forward near your hands, we're going to be able to rise up into that high mountain again. That's it. Now that we've gotten a little warm, we're going to take it step at a time, adding a little bit of twist to some of our poses. Just step the right foot back. So I'm staying on my toes. This is called a high lunge. So it's testing our balance. You're going to bring that foot in as much as you need to find balance. The hips are trying to come forward. Yep. There you go. And then plant that back heel down at whatever angle lets you feel stable, and bend that front knee over that foot, not too deep. We want the thigh muscle to protect your knee. You look good. Okay, so that's our warrior one position. We're going to let the hands come up like we have been, up over the head. Let the left hand grab the right wrist and begin to look a little bit to the left, kind of like that little tail wag we were doing. See how it's forcing that spine to spiral. Good. Now, from there, open out into warrior two. That's the one where our hips are lined up to the side of the mat. We're bending as far down as we can where we're still real stable in the thigh. No big pressure on the knee. That's our warrior two. Nice. So take the front arm and let it come up. That's your left arm, I believe, hon. So the left arm's going to come up, yep. And we're just going to open those side ribs on that side. And then come forward. Going to try to place our forearm on our front leg. Let that right arm come up and over. Good. So I think that's enough of a twist or spinal work. Now come back to warrior two. So here's a little bit of challenge. We're going to see how much we can rotate our body like over opposite towards that front leg, twisting that spine. Good job. Come back to your regular warrior two. Now we're going to straighten our leg. We're going to come into triangle. So most of us kind of shorten our stance so we feel nice and solid. Front foot, back foot are taking equal weight. Lean into the forward arm, your left arm, and only come down as far as you can. Now with a bad knee, if you keep that front knee a little bent, you don't want to put back.
Yeah, it's the other knee that bothers me.
Okay, but we don't want any back pressure, even if our knees are relatively healthy. We can just micro bend that knee, come into our triangle, and lift ourselves up. Come on out, bend that front knee. That's our warrior two. Here's our warrior one. Our hips aim forward. And just see if you can step forward, coming back to mountain on the front of the mat. Very nice. And we'll do that series on the other side. You can shake out your legs a little bit. Your knee feeling okay so far?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I've had this problem for a long time. I've taken yoga for a long
I know
time.
how to take care
I
of
know
it.
I'm at my limit, and since it's just you and I'll shout out. Nope, can't do it.
Nope, can't do it. Not gonna do it. I get it. My yoga philosophy is that people do know what they can and can't do.
Yeah.
It's good to remind ourselves that trying to get into this particular shape, we got to keep paying attention to what it's doing. We don't want to hurt our knee. I'll tell you, I know about bad knees.
Yeah.
This time, our left leg's going to come back. Doesn't have to be too far. I want to take a moment just to land on that big toe that we stretched out. So you're in a high lunge. Taking a moment to breathe your hips nice and square to the front of the mat. Usually takes me a minute because my hips are stiff. They want to go ski-wampus. I have to almost twist them to get them to the front of the mat. From there, I'm going to lower my heel and see how I feel. I'm going to bend that front knee, not too deep because I'm taking some of the pressure onto the back leg, and let my arms come up. That's our warrior one. Now to add a little twist action, I'm going to take my right hand on my left wrist and just look over that front knee. Look towards the right shoulder. You'll feel the spine working, twisting. You feel it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. And then open out to warrior two. You might be able to sink a little lower. You're trying to find that point where there's no torque on your knee. My thighs protecting my knee, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Good. And then we'll try that little twist again. Little airplane arms come around, and I'm trying to twist against that front leg. Open back out. I'm going to let that back arm, the left arm, just hang low or be at the waist. Looks like you know that waist position. Let that front arm come up and over. Do what the neck wants to do. You can look back or look up, stretching those right side ribs. And then we rotate over our center and stretch the left rib. So I'm going to keep my forearm on my front thigh to help support. I'm going to come look at you. That looks good. Good job. Now come back up. You'll be in warrior 2 again. So keep that knee, front knee bent. There you go. Then consciously straighten the front knee. We're going to go into triangle. You look good. So find your triangle. Lean into that right side. Let the left side open up. Beautiful. And just support yourself there and breathe. Looks very nice. Come on back up. We kind of retrograde out of this. So we come up. Here's our warrior 2. Let the hips go forward on the mat. I actually have to move my back foot to get my hips nice and square. Here's our warrior 1. Let that heel come up. We're going to try to step forward. This time let's try a little balance. I didn't do this on the other side, but it's a fun way to come out of these where we actually see if we can single leg balance. If you don't make it, it's all right. Yeah, bring it forward.
Furniture around. I don't want to try it.
Yeah, no falling. Okay. No, that was a nice series, nice strong series.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Okay, good. We're gonna come down to the mat. So I'm grabbing my blanket and find a good seated position for some twists. I'm so grateful to be able to see you.
Yeah.
The little bitty, now what we're going to do is we're going to come into what I actually call it a pretzel pose. It has a nice yoga name, but we want, this would be your left leg, to try to come across. I want to know how that feels on your knee.
Yeah, it's fine on this side. It may be a problem on the
Maybe
other.
not on the other. Okay.
Yeah.
So if your legs are more open, but what we want is that left knee to kind of stay high. If it can come across onto the thigh, it sort of holds it very perfect. It holds it nicely. So the first step in this pose is to get the spine tall. So I like to grab a little bit of my shin and work against, see how you can lift the chest as you pull into that leg. Beautiful. Now we're going to work our way into a twist against this knee. So you're going to decide how far you can go. Just work your way around, trying to find a hold that helps support a nice long spine that I can look behind. Very strong twist. With my inhale, the spine gets nice and tall. With the exhale, I might get another 1/4 of an inch in the twist. And just do that a few breaths. Just easing that spine around. And then we come out of it, we just release the effort. The spine will naturally just come forward. Now, I had planned to go into something called double pigeon. What you're going to do is you're just going to kind of come into a cross leg, whatever works for that. So that the legs can be a little bit looser, yeah? But we'll counter pose rather than double. I'm going to get in double pigeon just because,
Okay.
you know, I will, but you're not. That's fine. But the action's the same. The action is we're going to try to bend forward.
Oh, yeah.
Just going to walk forward. Your forward might be barely forward. Just breathe and soften. Some people can go more forward. They can even get their forehead to the ground, but we're just trying to find that place where the hips are opening and we're releasing the spine. The spine can be round, the spine can be soft. Just a counter pose. Although it's strong on the hips for some of us, for the spine should be quite relaxed. And just use your hands to walk yourself back up. Kind of want to help our body when we're in these deep stretches. We don't want to tense a lot of muscle. and we'll come to the other side. So I think we're mirroring each other. You might feel different on this side. Find that pretzel that works, where the right knee is kind of up. Is that right?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yes, that's it.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
You got it. Yeah, if you can plant this foot in front, wherever it wants to go, it kind of helps the lift. So you're planting your foot, you're strongly internal rotated on the top leg. Use the shin, lengthen the spine, get it nice and long, and then begin that gentle twist against that front knee. So you just find a good holding point that helps, that assists that. I'm going to let my back arm come behind, keep my spine long. Yours might not come all the way behind, doesn't matter. Just breathe long, exhale, soften into the twist. It's a very nice twisting pose. And then we'll release and find some cross-legged version for a nice releasing forward bend, just walking ourselves forward. Can breathe out. Sometimes it really helps to release tension. Just nice strong exhale. Find a forward fold that releases that back. Find the next inhale just to activate enough to let your arms help you sit back up. Wow. And we'll give ourselves a little release here. I'm just going to turn sideways on the mat. You might already be sideways. And just let the legs come forward. You can lean back and just bring some energy back in those joints that we just worked so hard. Just kind of let the knees sway side to side, or a little bit of bouncy movement. Just want to let them release. And then come back onto your sit bones. We're going to do a little bit of core work. So I have a series that I really like. Hope it works for you. We'll adapt if we need to. But starts in this sitting up with the knees bent and kind of holding on. Yeah, so that we can get a nice straight spine. And then here's the core part. We lean back and see if we can keep a straight spine with our feet off the ground. That's it. This little V shape really works the core. And from here, you just do what you can do. You let the legs come high or low, whatever they can do. You can hold on or you can let go. And just try to breathe in this little V shape. And as soon as you feel it in your back and you think, okay, that's enough, you just lower the feet and come back to that nice straight spine. Should relieve any pressure in that low back. Did that feel okay? I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
You see what we're doing though, right?
Yeah.
Stepping into a V shape that's working our hip flexors and all the way up through the core. So first step is this little balance. And if that's what you need to work on, you just stay there. If you can go a little further, you just raise the feet up a little bit. As high as you can. Maybe let go of the arms or play with letting go of the arms, making your core do all the work. We try to take a couple breaths. As soon as we start quivering or we lose our breath, we just come back down and sit back up. Let's do one more. Balance on the sit bones. find our peak. Breathe. For me, it's not so much my low belly muscles, my hip flexors really need this. So we're all different. That's what gives out on me first. I'm going to come on down. Release that spine. And just roll. We're going to come to our back. So leaving the knees bent, see if you can roll the spine almost like vertebra by vertebra. Nice and slowly. You probably come to a place where you just kind of plop, but as slowly as you can, come onto your back with your knees bent. This is a good constructive rest position. Just let that back that just worked ease into the floor. Now we're going to do some bridge lifts, Cornelia, and this should not strain the knee. But
Yeah, bridge is fine.
Bridge is fine, okay. Some people will actually feel some tension in the knee. Usually we need to change the angle of the feet.
Yeah.
But you go, okay, let the arms come down, the palms are kind of by your hips, palms down. That's kind of anchoring our back into the floor. And the first stage in this bridge lift, we're actually working fairly slowly, carefully along the spine, is we press the feet into the floor and try to flatten out the low back. We're tilting the pelvis a little bit up, and just do that a couple times. Let the energy go. You feel your lower back kind of arch a little bit. Then press the heels into the floor, flatten out that back. The pubic bone kind of tilts up. I'm going to do that a few times, just so I'm nice and aware of that pelvic tilt. Press, tilt. Now this next time I'm going to actually lift the hips off the floor. We're going to be nice and careful. So I press the feet, I let the back, and see if what happens when you lift your hips a little bit off the floor. It might only be a few inches. And then roll the spine back down. Each little vertebrae touching, touching, touching. The last thing that touches is the tailbone. And we release. Do that 2 more times. Press the feet, lift the hips. Yes, perfect. Kind of get to that peak and then lower that spine down. Force it to be slow. There's the work, the slowness of it. All the way down the very bottom of the bridge. You'll kind of let the muscles go and just relax. One more time. This time, press the feet, lift the hips. See how high you can get the hips without, yes. So you're actually coming into like a shoulder stand here. You're trying to get the hips high enough that you actually feel a little bit of weight in the shoulders. Hopefully there's no strain in the neck. You're just holding there. Very good work for the back body, the buttocks, the back of the thighs. When you kind of peaked, you're just going to roll down vertebra by vertebra. Perfect. And when you get to the bottom, we'll release all that work by just bringing the knees towards the shoulders, just this little knee hug into the chest. Usually does a really nice job of counter stretching those back muscles. You can even roll a little bit side to side. Give yourself a little back massage. And then go ahead and let the feet come back to the floor. And we'll use this position to get a last twist in. We're going to let our arms come out to the side in a T position. It helps stabilize the shoulders. We want the shoulders nice and flat onto the floor. Take the right leg and cross it over the left. And then let both knees fall to the left. This isn't about getting the knees to the floor. This is really about using the weight of those legs to spiral and twist the back. And the shape does it by our shoulders staying nice and firm against the floor, working against the weight of the legs. And just breathe there. Really good for the spine. You feel anything? You getting a twist in your back?
Feeling it, yeah. This is one of my favorite poses.
Oh, good. Sometimes you can make little adjustments. If you're as open as I think your hips are, sometimes if you bring the knees a little bit higher towards the chest, maybe you'll feel a little bit more work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll just find, oh, that perfect spot where I'm still comfortable, I'm still breathing, it's still a nice stretch, but I feel something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
My body feels it when I just think about doing it, but some people need a little bit more. And then come out, just bring yourself on it. A little bit energy, roll those hips back to the floor. The knees will face the ceiling, you'll uncross. Reposition the spine nice and long and straight. And this time, left knee over right knee. And both legs will fall to the right. So that crossed leg is on top. There you go. And you might be a little different on this side. So hip distance, it looks like you can come a little more towards the chest. Yeah. And the work for most of us is actually across that top thigh into that shoulder. You feel like if you look at your t-shirt, it's spiraled around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the energy kind of goes through that top shoulder. Now you might need a little bit more work. I usually work in a T. Some people actually feel a little bit more if they let that opposite arm go up towards, a little more towards the ear. You might play with that a little bit since you're open in the hips. Yeah.
Yeah. I can feel a little bit more there.
A little bit more, yeah. You look, you know, I always tell people we want you to be comfortable, but not too comfortable. And then find an inhale or an out breath, whatever works, to let those hips reposition on the ground, uncross the legs. And a resting posture I really like after doing that is to walk the feet wide, maybe even as wide as the sides of the mat, and let the knees tilt inwards. Some people call this teepee, so it's letting the hips get a little bit of a gentle internal rotation. Now we're gonna end with an inversion, and we can do whatever inversion we want to, since it's us. Do you ever come to shoulder stand, Cornelia?
I have not done shoulder stand in years,
Okay.
and I've kind of gotten away from doing it.
Doing it, okay. So
One
we're
of
just,
the things I've often done is I kind of do a modified version of it. I get my hips up like this.
that's a kind of perfect inversion.
Yeah.
I teach yin, and I call this floating bamboo, exactly what you're doing. You're using a support to raise the hips.
Mm-hmm.
Your legs aren't trying to be strong. They're really not trying to do anything. You're just letting the hips, you're perfect. Just sink into those hip sockets, using as little muscle as possible. Do they feel pretty comfortable?
Yes.
It's almost like a leg up the wall, but in the center.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is without the wall.
Yep. So I'm guessing you could even get your hips a little higher Next time we're together, we might yeah, there's this perfect sweet spot where you can just float there. Nice. Now, I happen to love this pose. And you'll decide whether you want to do this kind of version of it. So our legs are up, they're not working too hard, it's not a leg stretch. We're just going to open the legs a little bit into a V. See how that feels?
Mm-hmm.
Soft V. So we're getting a little bit of work, inner groin, inside of the legs. And sometimes I get so relaxed here, I actually do a little bit of movement. That's why it's called floating bamboo. Where if you let the legs move just a little bit forward and back, it doesn't have to be strong. It's just easing a few more of those little muscles inside the hip, the little hip flexors and psoas. Perfectly good inversion. Just bring your legs back together, just as a way to exit. We'll let the knees bend one more time. And we'll finish with a little bit of a leg stretch. We haven't really done a lot of hamstring stretches today. So let the left leg come long on the mat. The right knee's sort of bent. And you can engage the left leg, by which I mean let it be kind of strong and long on the mat. So you actually feel your thigh muscle engage. I usually flex my foot to have that action and let that right foot aim itself up towards the ceiling. You can use a strap or you can just hold the back of your leg. I know a lot of people really like to work with a strap. So
yeah, I do. I
okay,
think
that works for you.
more than anything.
Just do me a favor, try not to bring too much tension into the shoulders and just breathe that leg long. So the straighter you get that knee, the longer the hamstring is, but not a lot of force. You're really just breathing it long and it'll find how long it can be. Very nice. Without creating a lot of tension in the shoulders. And I usually release it just by rebending the knee. That strap will cut loose, yeah, you know it, and then let it float down. And we'll do that little stretch on the other side. Left knee comes in, find your little knee squeeze and your strap around your foot that you. Yeah, bring it into your leg stretch with your strap if that's how you like to work it. Think about letting your shoulders stay just as holders. You're not really forcing the stretch. It's just yeah, perfect. You're just pressing that leg against the strap, sort of breathing it long. And then release, let that knee bend back into the chest. The strap can just go anywhere to the side. We're going to make our way to Shavasana. So I know you know Shavasana. Start with kind of scanning the body. Let one leg release long and another leg. Make sure you're not holding any tension in your feet. You'll feel that ease come up the leg into the hip, hopefully into the back, into the shoulders. I sometimes have to adjust my shoulders so that they can be flat. I tend to hold tension in my jaw, so take a minute, let your jaw release. And just see how much ease you can bring into the body for this last minute or so. Really not paying attention to anything in particular. Just the quiet stillness. The breath. And just sort of gradually let the breath return to a more natural rhythm. And find an inhale that lets you have enough energy to turn over to either side. Can end up in a little side fetal position. For a breath or two, thanking yourself for coming to the mat today. So many of the things you could have done. And just use your arm, legs, a little bit of breath to sit up. It's just so nice to end after Shavasana, just feeling how different the body feels from the beginning of class. I like to close with a vibration of Om to seal the practice. Bringing the hands to the heart. The thumbs can kind of touch that sternum. Taking your breath. We can Om together. Om. Namaste. We just wish the light in each other, honoring that light.